Howdy doody everybody, I hope you're doing great. In today's video we're talking about Forspoken, and that is because I love a bit of an isekai. When it comes to isekais, I watch all of them. I know it is flooding the market because everything is an isekai nowadays. We've got Shield Hero, we've got Jobless Reincarnation, we've got Sword Art Online, we've got a bunch of different ones, we've got like Log Horizon, we've got so many. If you don't know what an isekai is, you can maybe guess by the animes that I've kind of mentioned, but they're basically where the main character gets transported into another universe or reincarnated in another universe, and it usually has game elements or is in a fantasy world or something like that. It's basically they're out of place in a brand new world, they're starting over again, and they're kind of pretty much OP in the new world that they're in. And I just love that genre, I just like the power fantasy of it all. So Forspoken is basically that. They're basically taking elements from isekais which were inspired by games and then bringing them back to games, which is awesome. So we're going to go through some of the details, and if you like the look of the game, then leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that you can learn more about all the RPGs and all the MMOs and all of that glorious stuff that we talk about on this channel. So let's get into it. Let's start with the top level stuff. This game is made by Square Enix. More specifically, it's made by Luminous Productions. You'll know them from Final Fantasy 15. Some people were iffy about Final Fantasy 15. I personally really liked Final Fantasy 15. It did have its issues. It did have some pacing issues and stuff was definitely missing. The story was not nearly as good as I expect from a Final Fantasy game, but I feel like that was definitely down to the amount of time that they had to necessarily develop the game. It was like rebooted and restarted, and they only had like a few months, even up to like 2 years to basically push that game out the door. And a lot of the stuff was meant to be remedied in DLC, but it was obviously cut out. But the core elements of that game and some of the strides in terms of like technological advancements that they made was definitely good, and this is kind of a different step in the direction for Final Fantasy. And you guys know me, I love a bit of Final Fantasy, and this takes elements from that and basically places them into the isekai world. So I'm ready for this one. It is an open world action RPG. If you can see the gameplay footage in the background, you can see it is open world. The world is super vast, and it is coming for PS5 and PC. That is awesome. It means that we're going to be able to play that on both PC and PS5. It isn't necessarily just a console exclusive. It'll probably come to Xbox at a later date, but they love these console first exclusives, so we'll have to wait for that until a later date. We know that it's actually releasing next year. We have a date of spring next year, so it's just around the corner. It's not too far. I can't believe 2022 is basically on our heels and we're basically going to be playing this so soon, but 2022 is when it's going to be released, so super soon for it. RPG, open world, all of that stuff. Let's go talk about a bit of the story and the story element. So a small story snippet is basically that she was living in New York City. She gets transported into a new world called Athia, which was actually the original project name for this game. And then because she is there, she is given some magical cuff and gets magical powers, which is pretty cool, you can see. But her whole existence in this new world threatens the existing hierarchy of stuff, so people are out to try and get her basically, and we're basically going to go on that journey, which is pretty cool. But the thing that interests me is going to be the minute to minute and kind of like just the dialogue in this game and all of that stuff, because Gary Whitta is working on it, which if you don't know his work, he's worked on a load of stuff, but notably he's worked on Rogue One. And I don't care what you say, Rogue One is probably the best Star Wars film out there. So for me, I don't know, what did you guys think of Rogue One? I feel like out of all the Disney films, it's probably my favorite one so far. I feel like not enough people put a respect on Rogue One, but people that know about Rogue One know that movie actually banged, and I absolutely love that film. So I'm excited to see him work on that. Plus Amy Hennig is working on it as well. If you don't know what Amy Hennig is, you probably played one of her games. She worked on Uncharted, a bunch of other games. She's working on games from ages, and yeah, it's exciting to see this kind of really strong team of creators on here, and both of them matching up and creating something completely new and kind of really anime inspired. Gets me super excited for it as well. But let's talk a little bit about the gameplay and get into the gameplay elements so you know exactly what you're getting into. So two key points of the gameplay that I actually want to call out is it seems like there are going to be a lot of fantasy looking beasts that we need to take down, and mystical looking elements and crazy creatures that we need to take down, which is pretty cool. But one of the things that they're really trying to drill down on is the traversal in the open world. A lot of times we have these open world games and there's vast open distances that we need to get across, and one of the things that they developed for it, it looks like they're taking elements from Assassin's Creed but speeding up the parkour system in that, and they call it the magical parkour system. So this is one of the best looking selling points. If you're looking at the trailer, this is one of the best looking things that you can see in the game so far, and this mystical magical parkour thing just looks like it's going to be a ton of fun to get our hands on and really dig into and really play. If you're boosting around using magic, it looks really cool. Kind of really reminds me of like Prototype, or if you played Hulk, I think it's Ultimate Destruction, or any of those games where you're really speeding along rooftops and you're using parkour at like very fast speeds. It definitely reminds me of any of those games. We are playing as Frey, which is the main character, and she has these magical abilities, which is kind of funny actually, because in Luminous Productions' last game, which was Final Fantasy 15, the magic in that was not great. So it's nice to see them come back and have a load of different configurations for what you can do with the magic as well. There's one that looks like she's shooting a machine gun, there's ones where she's casting like ice magic, and there's ones where she's like lifting stuff up and casting like water and elemental magics of different types. So all of this really rounds out the game to look pretty exciting. So I am ready to get my hands on it, but you guys can let me know what you think about this game as a whole. You can see I'm pretty on this one. I feel like it's going to be one of those sleeper hits that a load of people are kind of excited about, but maybe it might end up being one of those Game of the Year games that it could go two ways. It's either going to be a Game of the Year or it's going to be an absolute flop, but it looks like it's got the setup to be a very decent game, so I'm looking forward to this. But you guys can let me know what you are thinking and if you guys think it's going to be good or not. Anyway guys, that was a quick roundup of everything Forspoken. If you like that, then leave a like and subscribe and let me know what other games I should be covering as well. Anyway guys, bye bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe so you don't miss another video.